Corporate culture is more than policies and dress codes. It is the unspoken rules and behaviors and relationships that define the personality of an organization. And sometimes these dynamics take a darker, toxic turn when personal relationships, romantic or otherwise, enter the mix, especially when your CEO or president or vice president is a toxic narcissistic. Stay with me, we'll dive deeper into this topic today. Welcome back. Today's topic: how toxic corporate culture can ruin your mental health, especially dealing with a narcissistic CEO. We are diving into a very challenging topic because recently I heard from various countries that, like Japan and India, that people, because of overwhelmness at work, have started ending their life, which was very surprising to me. So today we are going to dive in deeper that what actually happens behind the closed doors, the intersection of the corporate culture, power dynamics, and personal lives colliding in the workplace, the romantic relations, and importantly, how it affects the organization and people when either the higher level staff like CEO or vice president are narcissistic or even perverts. Have you ever noticed that how certain relationships at work seem to blur the lines between professionalism and personal life? Because, of course, it's natural for human beings or people to form bonds when they're in a shared environment and they're working in a shared environment for hours together. And issues arise when these relationships influence decision making, fairness, or even employees. There have been countless reports of workplace relationships that spiral into favoritism, scandals, or even lawsuits. Many of my patients have discussed work stress and how relationships, not only of themselves, even of other people, like an imbalanced relationship between executives and employees, lead to toxic work environment and harassment, leading to mental health issues. So now let's talk about why these relationships happen. According to experts, there are psychological and situational factors. Number one, power dynamics. Of course, there are narcissistic CEOs who have the urge to have control and play the power dynamics. Relationships often form between individuals with unequal power, such as manager and their subordinate. The imbalance can lead to perceived favoritism and coercion. Number two, incomplete relationships like marriage and companionship back home, new concept of polygamy, virtual cheating, and threesome, that is a sexual relationship between three or more people at the same time, and concept of open marriage and open relationships. Number three, stress and long hours of work, high pressure environments and timelines, which sometimes develop into a deeper consequences or also deeper connections. Next one is proximity and opportunity. Simply spending a lot of time with colleagues can blur the boundaries. Last one, ambition and influence. Some individuals may engage in these relationships for perceived career advantages, and they want to have a shortcut to be successful, so they choose the method to climb the ladder, the snake and ladder game, They like playing that snake and ladder game. They will climb the ladder, shortcut, and then bitten by a snake as harassment, they will fall down, of course, with lawsuits. That was just a joke, by the way. The consequences, however, can be devastating. Effects of these relationships on corporate culture. Erosion of trust. When co-workers suspect favoritism, it damages trust in leadership. Low morale. Employees who feel overlooked may experience resentment or decreased motivation. Legal implications. Relationships that end poorly can result in harassment claims or lawsuits, tarnishing the company's reputation. Toxic culture. When these dynamics are left unchecked, they can breed a culture of gossip, mistrust, and division. One of my patients, she told me that, Dr. Grover, it is to the point that now, even if it's true friendship among people, especially higher level professionals like CEO or vice president, people will gossip as if they are having an affair because it's but obvious for them. There's something going on between them, but that's not always the case. There are true friendships too, which can be formed. I have gone through a true friendship with one of a higher level person, and that person knows whom I'm talking about. So out here, I am not talking about gender exploitations. There are underlying picture of this happening in a much wider, in both the genders. And I will share some stories with you today. And the first one, I will start with myself. One striking example is when I attended an annual corporate dinner of Christmas with my husband. While I can't disclose the company, my husband was working in a good reputed company. We were invited, and for dinner, we found ourselves seated with the CEO of both the companies and their partners, because the company I'm talking about outsourced some work to another good famous company. So a polite conversation started, and I noticed one of the CEO's partner, she was dicing steak in the plate of the other CEO's partner and feeding her. This was very surprising to me, but whatever, that was a very dynamic gesture. And later on, four of them left, and they booked a private room upstairs in the hotel, and they spent the night. Confused, totally confused, I asked my husband, what's happening here? And he explained it was a calculated social maneuver, essentially sealing multi-million dollars contract through covert personal arrangement. That's unspoken polygamy. That was the way it was feeding and solidifying the corporate ties. The other one I will talk about, one of my patients mentioned that she found her first job in a very different culture environment, which she had never worked before in that kind of an environment. So she really had to struggle to settle down. During work trips, she noticed the colleagues were having casual affairs, openly sleeping with each other, spending nights with each other, and her refusal to confirm, especially when being drunk and when being hit upon, she was marked as a black sheep of the organization. Despite the pressure, she loved her job, came to me. We worked on strategies. I taught her how to stand up for herself, and she is still working in the same company, successful with courage. Another interesting one, I treated a vice president of a company. She was seeking a therapy from me because of bereavement issues and grieving because of loss of her mother. And while talking about work, she mentioned to me a very shocking truth. Many of the critical decisions and promotions, they were happening at the golf course. All the good level, high level people had joined the golf course, and it was essential that if you need to be promoted or to reach to a certain level, you have to be part of that golf club or golf course where decisions are going to be taken, and you are going to be treated like a golf, and you have to reach a certain hole to progress in the company. While workplace challenges exist globally, the forms of exploitation differ across cultures. Let me share some few real life stories which I would like to express. One of the cases of my niece, long time back, she was working in a very reputed, good company as a software engineer. And during Diwali festival, a celebration of lights, which matches with Christmas gift exchange, she was unexpectedly asked with distributing gifts from one CEO's house to another at their homes. This was completely outside her job profile, which revolved around IT and software development, of course. So she described feeling like a courier or a FedEx service, spending her entire day traveling in an Uber or taxis to fulfill this demand of her CEO or of the company. Such tasks not only undervalue the employee's skills but also disregard their professional boundaries. Another common issue reported in the Indian corporate sector is the lack of proper labor laws enforcing work hours and overtime. Recently, there was a news that one of a young employee ended her life because of stress of overtime and at work. One employee, interestingly, shared her story with me that office officially operated from 9 a.m. in the morning to 5 p.m., yet their boss constantly arrived at noon. As employees started leaving and packing up to leave for home in the evening at 5, the boss would command, "Are you leaving? This is too soon. Are you leaving early? Because I have a lot of work." And he made them work till 9 p.m. regularly till he himself was ready to go back home after his 9 hours shift. Worse, this overtime work was unpaid and often unproductive because just to match with the boss's schedule. This culture of overwork leaves the employees with no work-life balance, leading to being burnt out, chronic illness, chronic stress, and deteriorating their mental health. Understanding the mental health factors leading to these kinds of issues at work or having these workplace dynamics. So one of them, of course, I've explained before, narcissistic personality traits, tendency to exhibit grandiosity, and a need for control. When they can't assert their power anywhere else, they need a narcissistic supply, and they try that over the colleagues and subordinates. The other one is crave for drama and excitement. Certain people become trapped in a pattern of permanent drama. They get bored or they grow bored with routine and they crave spikes and excitement and attention-seeking behavior, deliberately indulging and inviting conflict in relationships at work, satisfying their need and their stimulation, and it's just like an addiction which carries on. Another one, loneliness and isolation. Of course, many people, they are depressed, lonely, emotionally isolated. In such cases, the workplace becomes a space where they seek genuine connections or friendships. Sometimes these relationships work out, but other times they lead to disappointment and a decision to resign and start fresh elsewhere. Well, another one, unresolved emotional or intimacy issues. For some, they are living in an emotional vacuum or a lack of satisfaction in their personal relationships at home, whether it's emotional or sexual intimacy. This void can lead them to seek solace in the workplace, often in the form of covert or overt relationships. Another one is having some perverse tendencies, that is to have a pattern of being a pervert. While not formally recognized as a psychiatric disorder, being a pervert, some individuals do exhibit those traits at work. These behaviors can contribute to unhealthy dynamics, and addressing them requires awareness and careful boundaries. Another one, genuine intentions. Finally, there are some people with genuine reasons. They are single individuals seeking meaningful relationships with like-minded colleagues. For some, it works beautifully, and for others, it's not working, leading to harassment and mental health issues. It is very important to approach these scenarios with empathy and understanding rather than stigmatizing or making a sensational gossip workplace news. We should focus on promoting mental health awareness and fostering environment where personal connections, when they happen, remain respectful and professional with boundaries. By addressing the root causes, be it narcissism, loneliness, or unspoken needs, we can create a healthier workplace that's supporting both individuals' well-being and professional growth. There are some tips or techniques which most of the companies and individuals should address, like having clear policies. Companies should have transparent guidelines about workplace relationship, ensuring everyone knows these boundaries. Second one, open communication. Employees should feel safe discussing concerns without fear of retaliation. Another one, training programs, educate managers and HR employees about power, dynamics, and workplace ethics. Third party mediation, the fourth one, that is bring in the HR or external mediators to resolve conflicts fairly. Last one, which I highly suggest, which most of the corporate sectors have started, having mental health counselors attached to your corporate sector, causing self-awareness and the importance of mental health and importance of workplace colleague-to-colleague relationships. Before we wrap up today, I would like to say 3 things to you which you all should capture with your mind, body, and soul. Firstly, if you get up in the morning and you hate going to work and you don't want to go to work, time to change your job. Secondly, if you don't want to go back home from your work, because you don't want to be with your family or your spouse. Something family dynamics are bad at home and they are unhealthy for your mental health. Bring about changes in those family dynamics. Lastly, very important, if you don't have time for yourself to do things which make you happy and you have passion for because of work stress, and you're working like a robot and machine, then you're not living a life, you are surviving a life like a robot. Change the direction and start finding out time for the things which make you happy. I'll finish here. I want to hear from you. If you have any experience or witnessed any impact of personal relationship in the workplace which is causing mental health issues to you, share your stories here, give comments below, and we will have good conversations. Remember, conversations help us to grow and to understand each other. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you found this video interesting and insightful, just give a thumbs up and don't forget to press the bell to subscribe me. Till then, have a happy working life. Be successful. Cheers with coffee.